Okay, it's 2020. Everybody is stuck at home, worried about the state of the world. You're working for a startup on a team of 2, and you can't even see each other in person. You're handed the name Aspida, and nobody can even say it right. They keep saying Aspido or Aspidia. The company you're trying to launch sells annuities, and you've never worked in that industry before, and you're not even really sure what they are. And now you've been tasked with creating a killer future-proof brand. What would you do? Well, I had the fortune to ask myself that exact same question, and that's how I got here today. My name is Brian Clark Call, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Aspida. And when we were starting out, we were a newcomer in an increasingly crowded space. If we were going to make it, we had to think differently. Because when you're in a crowded space, differentiation isn't strategy, it's survival. When products look the same and sound the same and act the same, the question you need to ask yourself and answer is, why should someone choose us? In the annuity business, creativity is not the first word that comes to mind. I'm sure you're all shocked by that. Product design is limited by regulatory constraints. Corporate branding is a sea of blue, and whoever uses the biggest words on the thickest stacks of paper wins. So when I was tasked with developing this brand, I asked, why should someone choose us? We started out by taking a look at industries that had absolutely nothing to do with us, but did their thing really well. We looked at what experiences they created that really resonated with their users. When we launched, we gathered testimonials from early adopters, one of whom said, "This is like the Uber of annuities." And we considered it high praise because we had actually looked at Uber as inspiration for creating experiences that others would appreciate. When Uber first launched, everyone was used to standing on the street corner, waving their hand, and paying with cash for the ride. A lot of people said, hey, this process works. No one needs to figure out a new way to do an old thing. And Uber said, fine, call a taxi then. We're going to build something new for people who want a different experience. When we launched at Aspida, we got the same reaction. Some people thought our fully digital process was taking away the opportunity for agents to relate to their clients. We were told people need a paper contract in their hand to feel secure about what they just bought. We were actually told by a number of people, threatened actually, that they would refuse to do business with us unless we instituted paper applications and paper contracts. We were told no one needs a new way to do an old thing. And we said, fine, use paper then, but you're going to have to do it with someone else. We improved the producer experience by moving faster than anyone else. We became obsessed with providing exceptional omni-channel service. And we made our application and our portal experience as simple and intuitive as possible. And because we worked on creating these new, delightful interactions, ones people might not have even realized they'd prefer, we won over far more fans than detractors. Throughout the process of creating our brand, people kept asking me, how do you think the core annuity demographic is going to respond to something like this? And I will admit that considering our average age of our clients is mid-70s, I was curious about that answer myself. But here's the thing. I was trying to differentiate. So I didn't develop this brand for our core demographic. I designed it for myself. I'm 50 years old. I'm a Gen Xer. I watched the birth of digital experiences, and I'm an avid beta tester and early adopter when I wasn't outside drinking from the water hose. At the start of my session today, I posed this question: why should someone choose us? And as I got into things, I customized that a little to why would I choose us? As I come into the age where retirement planning keeps me up at night, what would I look for in a company to help me? I'd look for one that stands out, that feels modern, like they're on top of things. A company that knows what it's doing, but it doesn't make me feel dumb to prove it. One that puts me first. I want digital self-service so I don't have to talk to anybody, but I also want a phone number I can call if I want to talk to someone. We're currently entering into the great wealth transfer, where the largest amount of inherited wealth is set to change from baby boomers to Gen X. At the same time, Gen X is a generation to experiment with 401ks, responsible for building up their own wealth in retirement as pensions become less and less prevalent. All of a sudden, a lot of people are going to end up with a lot of money and have a lot of decisions to make. So why should they choose us? We could have gone the safe route, branded with blue and white and used big words, flashed a bunch of pictures of rich people on sailboats. But none of that resonated with me, and I took a gamble that it wouldn't resonate with other people like me. In a few short years, I'm going to be our target demographic, so I asked myself, what will I need and want from a company that's going to protect my dreams? And then I set to building a brand that matched that vision. What is your most valuable and honest promise to your users? When tough decisions come up, what is the North Star you can look to, both ethically and from a customer-centric standpoint? What attributes are so pervasive and foundational within your organization that after just a few interactions, new users can easily point them out? Our answers, in order, were speed, service, and simplicity, and those became our brand pillars. Moving quickly, iterating, and constantly improving is in our DNA. It's a core component of who we are. We hire for it, we develop our people for it, we preach failing fast and moving on. We built a tech platform that reduces application time to less than 10 minutes, and we've issued annuity contracts in 5 seconds after they were submitted. For some historical perspective, that process in a paper-driven world took multiple weeks or even months to achieve. When we started the company, we saw this as an incredible opportunity to do things differently and faster. We have a saying, and it goes, we're kind of obsessed with exceptional service. Every single member of our support team is a licensed insurance producer, so they can better understand the challenges our users face. Now, this is not an industry regulation or requirement. It's an ASPIDA requirement. We've achieved and retained an NPS score of 81. And in the past few years, we've won numerous awards for excellent customer service from the Stevies and the Titan Business Awards. Now, yes, our tech platform certainly helps us provide great service at scale. But at the end of the day, it's these people who are kind of obsessed with exceptional service that are making the difference. Look, annuities are complicated. They're difficult to understand, and each one has different features. The regulatory oversight is insane, trust me. So we bake simplicity into everything that we do. Our website uses everyday language, bright colors, and whimsical line drawings. It's not elementary by any means. We're not pandering or placating to our visitors, but we don't find our worth in how many letters we're squeezing into every word. Quite the opposite, we pride ourselves in making things so simple, even a child could explain it. And that's what led to our Annuity Coach video series. We produced a series of coaches with an average age of 12 who break down the complexity of annuities and add humor to the process. From understanding annuity basics to explaining complex things like required minimum distributions, these kids explain it all. All right, so we've talked a little bit about our initial challenge of figuring out how we were going to differentiate in the marketplace and how that led to our foundational brand pillars. Now, what about creating a visual identity that stands out? I created this slide by visiting a number of annuity websites, and I sampled the top 2 colors I found on their homepage. I'm not criticizing this approach, I'm not. There's a very interesting area of study into color psychology and its subconscious emotional reactions. Blue represents trust and security. Those are absolutely things you want your company associated with if you're in the annuity business. And that was one avenue we could have considered. But in this figurative and quite literal sea of sameness, we need to stand out as a newcomer. And how are we going to do that? Bright pink and dark purple. Pink symbolizes hope, friendliness, and energy, all things we wanted tied to our brand. Purple gave us the grounding and the security we needed, but didn't tie us directly to the existing color palette so pervasive in our space already. The rest of our palette is bold but simple, using colors like teal, slate, and bright purple to support the others. Again, this is not to say that blue and green are not smart choices in the financial sector, because they do make a lot of sense. But they didn't make sense for us as we wanted to be known and how we wanted to be known as we launched our company. We embraced the pink and used it as a full-page hero image on our homepage. We tied it in with our tagline, "We're in the business of protecting dreams." There's nothing simpler than that. And when it comes to photography, we went bold. You will not find a gray-haired couple wearing matching white t-shirts in the sun on their sailboats. Instead, here's a guy walking down the street with his pet rhino, something he'd always dreamed of. You might see a couple who's always wanted to be in a rock band playing in a smoky lounge, or another one who just started an eccentric streetwear company. Not a sailboat in sight. To complement these hyper-realistic images of people living out their dreams, we've added a collection of continuous line illustrations along with pops of our brand color. These support our message of simplicity. If the artist can tell their entire story without ever lifting their pen, we too need to tell our story without complication and complexity. The icon on our logo is a stylized shield. When we launched, our sole backer was Ares Management Corporation, Ares being the Greek god of war. They gave us our name Aspida, which is the Greek word for shield. The god of war needs his shield. Makes sense, but it's also kind of expected. One day I was walking down the stairs in my house where I used to have a giant purple resin rhino bust hanging on the wall. A friend had given it to me years ago, and I just really liked it. I caught it in profile at just the right moment and just the right angle, and a light bulb went off. I thought, hey, that icon looks an awful lot like a rhino horn. I couldn't let it go, so I started brainstorming. I wanted to see if there was something to this. We did some research, and we learned a lot about the mighty rhinoceros. They're fast, very fast. They're very strong, secure animals. They're also very protective and nurturing by nature. These are all traits we wanted others to see in our company. Incidentally, they also poop 50 pounds per day. That had nothing to do with our research, but I thought it was a cool fact. So meet Speedy. Once we realized there was something to this rhino thing, we started creating a framework, and that's when Speedy the Rhino came into being. The first iteration was a line drawing that we licensed, but we needed to make him our own. So we worked with an artist to come up with an official mascot, Speedy 2.0. This version is facing a bit more forward, looking to the future. He catches your eye with a bit more confidence and know-how. He is smart and tech-forward. He's a champion for excellent service and elegant digital experiences. And of course, with a name like Speedy, you know he's lightning fast. That's how he got his name, Speedy the Rhino. And that's how we gave new meaning to the stylized shield that sits atop our logo. How we differentiated ourselves, because no one else in our space has a mascot with a name and a personality and a mission. As our mascot, Speedy isn't just repping us externally. A herd of rhinos is called a crash, so that's what we named our employee newsletter, The Crash. Our employee engagement and community service, ERG, is called The Rhinos. So when we go out and support our community schools, Habitat for Humanity, and Rise Against Hunger, and all the other things we do, we're wearing shirts that say, "We're the Rhinos." I've said this many times to our teams at Aspida. A brand's biggest and best evangelists are the employees that support it. So we make very certain that our internal brand and our external brand are closely aligned. All right, let's talk about customer centricity. This concept at a high level is kind of a no-brainer. We all know the customer is always right. But for that to happen, and for the organization to really embrace this fully, they can't just be right. They have to be at the center of everything we do. Every decision needs to be measured against how it will benefit or harm the customer experience. Every piece of content has to reach the right audience. Thankfully, this has become much easier with the introduction of AI and marketing automation. But I think it's important first to look at how customer preferences and behaviors are changing, especially since 2020 and COVID. As preferences change, the opportunity to resonate with new consumer bases also changes. Brands are shifting and examining how they can prepare for future users and pulling in those on the outskirts. Consumers are more attracted to brands that focus on social and environmental things. They're looking for experiences and solutions versus products and services. And although a snappy tone of voice and a snarky attitude will always make the funniest Super Bowl commercials, consumers overall are seeking brands that display characteristics of empathy and activism. These changes in consumer preferences provide a lot of opportunity to examine the way we're currently branding and marketing and find ways to shift customers back to the center of our efforts. It's become a bit of a joke at work that our younger crowd would prefer to email the person next to them versus just stand up and talk to them. If we were to ask call or text, we already know the answer before it comes out of their mouth. Similarly, when they need a ride, it's Uber or Lyft, not a taxi. Hotel and plane reservations are made online or from a mobile phone. Restaurants provide QR codes or iPads so you don't have to talk to your server. I'm not saying whether this is a good or a bad thing, but I'm saying it's a real thing. So if this is our annuity customer of the future, we need to start building for their preferred experiences now. So that's been a big focus of ours in terms of our approach to customer centricity. How can we create experiences now that will resonate with our future users? As an example, recently we launched an integration with Apple Wallet. No other company offers something like this. Jump in, check your annuity balance, link directly to your portal to make changes. It's not a groundbreaking move by any means, just in terms of daily life. But it shows that we're sending a message that we're paying attention, we're listening, we're putting our users at the center by delivering the experiences they've come to expect. So how does this translate to the wider financial industry? I don't know, I'm just barely learning annuities, so bear with me. By monitoring online and in-person activity, buying habits, social sentiment, and more, we can now predict consumer behavior throughout the sales funnel and deliver the content, service, and opportunities for engagement that create meaningful impact. AI is exceptional at recognizing and learning patterns. These patterns give us valuable insights as to how people are responding in the marketplace. From those insights, we can identify new personas that are most likely to engage either with our business or with the industry as a whole. Machine learning using predictive analytics can create opportunities for optimized content marketing and targeted advertising. This will attract the attention of users in our prospective personas and prioritize those individual groups based on how they interact with the content so we can make informed data-driven decisions. Building from there, things like dynamic pricing models, web and app personalization, and AI chatbots can deliver exactly what's needed at the right time to convert a prospect into a customer. And once that happens, predictive customer service, loyalty automation, and dynamic emails created at the user level can ensure that the customers stay long-term. All of this is possible now if you know how to use the tools that are out there in meaningful ways. With that being said, Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, is famously attributed with sharing the phrase, "AI won't take your job. Someone who uses AI will." I think there's something really important, an important takeaway in that statement. AI today can't do an entire job yet. It can do the tasks that make a job easier and more efficient, but without human oversight, AI is limited and it's fallible. The ones who will win over the next few years when it comes to customer centricity are those who embrace AI, machine learning, and advanced CRM tools well enough that those tools become the Pepper Potts, the Alfred Pennyworths, the Money Pennies, or the Andy Sachs, the assistant of all assistants, without whom Tony Stark, Bruce Wayne, James Bond, or Miranda Priestley couldn't succeed. However, without Tony, Bruce, James, or Miranda, those assistants don't have a reason to exist. These automation and analytical tools won't take over yet, but those who know how to use them are giving themselves a significant competitive advantage. I've covered a lot during our time together. Most of you still seem to be awake, so I do appreciate that. I want to leave you with the concept that small steps and small teams can make big impacts. I built our brand in 2020 during COVID from my living room. We were a startup and we had no money to enlist the help of an outside company at the time. I ran a mighty team of two. It was me and a graphic designer, chatting over Teams or email, and alternating from couch to home office if we needed a change of scenery. We built our entire brand from scratch, just the two of us. I'm not trying to brag by saying that. Okay, I'm trying to brag a little bit by saying that. But I'm sharing it to tell you that innovative ideas, brands, messaging, and approaches to customer centricity aren't about how much money you throw at the biggest agency with the longest list of famous clients. It's about identifying your strengths, values, and obsessions and making sure you live out those foundational attributes in everything that you do. Trust me, if we've had the funds to hire an agency at the time, I would have, because that was a lot of work. But whether we were a team of 200 or if it was just the two of us, I would have aimed for the same result. And that's what I urge you to do as well. Whether you have unlimited resources or you're living on pizza and a scrappy attitude, you can and must own the story, the emotion, and the value of your brand. If you do that, it'll resonate today and tomorrow and 20 years from now. It'll look different because you'll refine it and you'll adjust. But a foundational brand is timeless. A solid brand answers the question, why should someone choose us? Thank you. Can I answer any questions? Yes. Thank you.
What role in defining the brand, and especially in the highly regulated space that you're in, what role does humor play in the brand and how it expresses itself?
I guess it depends on your organization. For us, it played a lot. In fact, when we were talking tone of voice specifically, and I was working with our CEO and bouncing ideas off of him, he used the term sass. Make sure there's a little sass in it. And so we embraced that, and we absolutely use humor anytime that we can. You have to make sure that it's done respectfully and smartly and that kind of thing. Another thing we did is become best friends with our compliance department to make sure we were having everything checked over and it was going to pass the muster. But I think it's incredibly important to have some levity, be able to poke fun, a little bit of fun at yourself, a little bit of fun at the industry, and I think it creates a bond between you and the end user. I actually am holding up lunch, so I do understand if you're ready to go, but if there's anything else I can answer, I'm happy to. Thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks. I really appreciate the tangible case study.